Mhm.
All right. Here we are with another episode of Talking Sports with the Legend. Tonight's guest is Natalie Egenolf. She works at 97.5 The Fanatic,
Yep.
a sports talk radio station in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Take it away, Legend.
Where were you born?
All right, so I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I was born actually at Northeastern Hospital on Allegheny Ave. I guess it's like Port Richmond, Kensington section. And then, yeah, my family moved up to Longcrest in 97. And basically, I went to St. William's. That's kind of where I was, born and raised and learned everything that I need to learn. And then I went, a couple blocks away and went to Doherty.
So when you were born, where were you guys living? What neighborhood?
So my dad was Kensington. My family had been there my God, they were there since like the 1800s. My dad went to Mastbaum, and then my parents were divorced. So I lived with my mom in Port Richmond. We were right down the street from My Blue Heaven.
Yeah, get out of here. That's so funny because we're originally Kensington. I was like front in Allegheny, St. Hugh Parish, and then Stephen's brother and his sister were all born at Northeastern Hospital.
Oh, you're kidding?
And then they went to Stephen and my son and my daughter went to Ascension, and then we moved to Presentation Parish in 1999. You said you moved up to Longcrest in 97. We moved up there in 99.
Yeah. I feel like that was probably like the time where everybody started to get out of the neighborhood a little bit.
Out of Richmond and Kensington and moving up north.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? I live in Fishtown now. When I moved back, I moved back in 2015. My family was like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm telling you, you just wait to see what happens." And clearly the boom was insane. Yeah, my dad. My grandfather's house was on Belgrade and Marlboro, and my dad sold it in like 96 for like 65,000. Yeah, he can't even talk about it because it just like drives him insane, because now the houses around here are going for like 600,000. It's so wild.
Yes, it's crazy. My mother grew up in Fishtown over the other side on Alman and York, and those houses, same thing. And they're so small, but it's the value of the houses nowadays down there.
It's wild. It's wild. But you know what?
As soon as you said Northeastern Hospital, I was like, they had to live around there, because back then you would have gotten to another hospital if you didn't live down that way.
Oh no! And my grandmother always joked and said it was my hospital because it had a big NE on the top. So those are my initials. That's what she used to say. She's like, "It's your hospital, Nat."
That's right. Now it's yours.
Yeah.
The building's still there.
It is. It is.
All right, Stevie boy. I'm sorry. Take over there.
Where did you go to high school and college?
So I went to Cardinal Doherty, and I loved it. It was the best 4 years of my life. From your experience there, we used to all the teachers were great. The students were great. We had so much fun. And that's actually where I got into broadcasting, when I did CDTV in the mornings.
Get out of here.
Yeah. That's actually how I got into it. Then I enrolled at Temple for communications.
Say communications. So CDTV, when Stephen was there, he a couple of the kids that he was they were older at the time. Stephen was 15 when he started there. So some of the older kids, I remember they helped out. Remember, you were trying to get involved in it, but then
I ended up helping out the
girls
soccer and basketball
team. He helped out. What year did you graduate?
I was 06.
I didn't say that. Yeah, my other son was Andrew. He was in 07. He graduated. You guys shared a class together. I think it was your senior year and his junior year. I forget what class it was, but he said he remembered you when you first started working at WIP. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, she was working. She started working at WIP first."
Oh,
well, I'll let her tell her story. I'm sorry, Steve, but yeah, my youngest, he just turned 31, and he went to Prez. And then he went to Doherty with a bunch of his friends. I tried to get him to go to North Catholic, but he didn't want no part of North Catholic. But
well, he made the right choice.
Yeah, he really liked it.
North. I mean, I know that we used to be like rivals with North, but I feel like since we both closed the same year, now we kind of like have this kinship that
Yes,
that we lost our schools
absolutely.
in the same year.
Yep. And then we where I grew up, I was actually easier for me to get to Doherty because I live right on Front Street. So I would
Right.
taking the 57 straight up there and get off right outside the school. But for North, I had to take a bus and then the L. And I used to tell people, said, "Well, why don't you just go to Doherty?" I said, "Well, we didn't have a choice back then." And when you guys got,
Right.
yeah, you were like one of the first years that they allowed you guys to start going to wherever you wanted to, right?
Yeah, we could pick wherever we wanted to go,
Yeah,
but all my friends from the neighborhood were going to Doherty, so I just
yeah,
went there because that's where everybody else was going, and it was the closest.
yeah. And it was like I said, especially for where you were living, Longcrest, you can practically walk there if you wanted to have a nice walk. But it was only like what, a 10 minute
Oh
drive.
yeah, I would walk home sometimes.
Yeah. So go ahead, Steve. Now she said she majored in communications at Temple.
Did you play any sports?
So I actually didn't play any sports in high school. I played soccer for Longcrest Rec. And then when I went to Doherty was when I really got involved with, like broadcasting, video media. So I did the movie club while I was at Doherty, and that was pretty much my extracurriculars. I had a part-time job after work. So I worked at Salerno's Pizza, and those were kind of my hobbies back in the day.
And how did you get started in with WIP?
So I
I'm
so
sorry.
I
He went. What was your first job out of Temple?
So actually what happened was while I was at Temple, I was able to land the receptionist job at CBS Radio, who owned WIP at the time.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was crazy. Well, actually, the first thing they hired me, they needed somebody to hand out flyers in the parking lot at like a Flyers game. So they brought me in, and I was just kind of doing like odd jobs for the station at the time, like just like random promotions work. And then that was December 2008. May of 2009, they hired me as their receptionist. And that's what I did until I graduated in January of 2011. And that's really like how I got my foot in the door, and I got to know a lot of people who work there. And again, I just saw it as an opportunity to, form relationships and learn the business. And I mean, it was the best job in the world. I got to sit at the front desk, and, all these athletes would come in. I like Bernard Hopkins and whoever was coming in to be interviewed by the stations that day. It was really, really cool having that job in college. And then, yeah, after I graduated, I worked on the WIP morning show for 4 years. It was unpaid, so I paid a lot of dues. I had a full-time job at the University of Penn through that time, and then the Fanatic picked me up in 2016. And
Oh, awesome. So when you were doing the thing at WIP, you were just trying to like intern, and so just to get your name out there and all. What did you do? What did you do at Penn?
so I was a financial, or no, I was the administrative coordinator for the director of finance at the Cancer Center.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really great job, but my heart was totally in sports radio and broadcasting. And I just kept, outside of that, I did work with the WIP morning show, and then I would take, a lot of different freelance broadcasting jobs. So I was a production assistant for NBC Sports Regional, which was cool. So on game days on Sundays, I got to travel to like Baltimore, New York. Where else did we go? I mean, I was at the Link a lot, and I would just have like random production jobs on the weekends, like carrying wires and making sure that all the talent had their Diet Cokes in their place. And
Were you getting paid? Were you getting paid at that point?
I was getting paid a little bit of money for that
Oh,
stuff.
good.
Yeah, this
How about-
was all still while I was working full time at Penn. And then outside of Penn, I would work on this program. It was called Phillies Nation at the time, and we were just this little independent, I guess, TV show, but Comcast Sportsnet aired us.
Right.
Yeah, we paid for. I mean, the guys who owned it paid for the airtime, and that it was just like I just kept building my resume, and trying to make as many relationships as I could. And it it was fun. Like I look back now, I don't know how I had the energy to do it all. I guess, because I was like in my early 20s. And be. Like I was just hungry and I just really wanted to be in the business. Yeah, I took like a ton of odd jobs. The one year I was the broadcast game day assistant for the Eagles radio network when they were still on WISP. That actually counted as an internship. But it was when like Twitter was first invented. So I would live tweet the games and do play by play, which is so funny because now Twitter is just this huge thing, but yeah, it was a lot of years of building before I feel like I really got my opportunity. Yeah, and then the Fanatic was 2016, and then they put me full time on the air in January of 2018. So it's been 3 years now since I've been on the Mike Missinelli show full time.
That's awesome. You did some TV though with his show that you got paid for that. Please tell me, on Channel 17, the Family Feud.
Oh yeah. So that was last year. Yeah, we did Philly Feud last year. Everything basically, it was really just the beginning. From maybe like 2011 to 2015, where I was still kind of putting in a lot of work on the air, I guess for free. It was really just if there's no jobs, there's only so many jobs, and there's so many people who want them, right? So Keith Jones, I say this all the time from the WIP morning show, I would say to him, I'd say, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it. And, I'm not making any money in this business. And, I have my full-time job. And he was like, just keep showing up, kids. Someone will pay you eventually because, people stop showing up. So yeah, I always felt like I had nothing better to do. Like, I didn't think I missed out on any like opportunities or any experiences or anything like that. It was a ton of work. But it's all worth it now just because I love, what I do so much.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. We met him down at Casino AC for one of the morning shows, and he came right over to us in between break. And
Jonesy?
Yeah, remember?
Yeah,
and he came right over to us.
What's up, Perkins too?
Yeah, and then we met him. Then we went up to Perkins restaurant, the one up in the Northeast on Grand Avenue.
Yeah.
So they did a morning show. So we know Conklin from my boss went to Doherty. My boss grew up 65th Street. So we do I work at an auto tag and insurance business, and that's what my boss owns two of them. So I met Joe. Yeah, I met Joe in the 90s through that.
Yeah, man.
My boss grew up with him, so my boss knew him forever. So I introduced him to Steven at the Wing Bowl. What Wing Bowl? Me and Steven went to the last three.
Well, I went to 4. You went to
right. I missed the 1 year. Right.
So you missed the very last year.
He went to the one Wing Bowl without me with a woman that we know. She took her son Steven and a couple of the other guys. They had such a ball. They had such a ball.
Wing Bowl was fun back in the day.
The year of the Super Bowl.
The year of the Super Bowl we went.
Amazing.
No, you didn't go that year.
Oh, that was the year you went with your friends. Right.
Yeah.
I was down the shore. Right. I went down the shore.
No, I don't. Were you down the shore?
I was leaving that day. That's why I didn't go to the Wing Bowl. Remember, I stayed with my buddies and all.
I was still to the Wood game that night, baseball.
Yeah.
I think you took me.
No. I went the oh yeah, you're right. I went the next day. I didn't want to go. Yeah. I didn't want to take off of work. That's what it was. I was working Saturdays. This kid's got a memory like an elephant. He's unbelievable. He remembered right away when you started working on WIP. He's like, I think she went to Doherty. That's how you probably remember her from the CBTV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he knew you right away. It was so funny. But weren't you also on a show with the WIP? Had a show on TV like the.
Oh my God, I just totally blanked on that. Yeah, the Great Sports Debate.
Yes, and you were on that.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah, that was my.
That was
no, I got paid. I think I got paid $50 an episode.
Awesome. Hey, yeah, I knew. I was going to say because that's the way I usually do it, Steve. They pay you per episode for and technically you got acting credits for that, or are you in the Actors Guild?
No, well, I think on IMDb I'm listed for Phillies Nation TV, but the Great Sports Debate was that was from a small production company called CCI Communications. He did the Philly Feud too.
Get out. Okay.
Yeah. So it's, and my God, I totally blanked on the Great Sports Debate because that feels like a a lifetime ago.
He gets a memory from me. I got a great memory, and
That's
it's so funny because I watched your career as you went in, but I couldn't remember like what year you started being on the radio with those guys doing
yeah,
free thing.
10 years ago. I can't believe it.
2010. Wow. 2011 or 2010?
2011.
11.
I can't.
Huh?
Wow, I can't. I'm saying it out loud is making me feel so
Yeah, well,
right
Well,
now.
just so everybody out there knows, she's not that old. Trust me, she's a young girl.
Well, it's funny because I feel like people think that I'm a lot younger because a lot of people didn't know of me until I got on Mike's show.
Yeah.
So a lot of people thought I was just this like spring chicken, and I was like, I've been at this for a little bit now, you
Yeah,
know?
well, that's the ignorant men that I know they
Yeah.
still give Rhea a hard time, and I listen to all the different stations, and
Yeah.
I'm a big follower of women in the sports because as you just saw, I have a granddaughter and I have another granddaughter that's a little younger than her. And you guys didn't have the opportunity back when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. And
Yeah.
you never heard women. The only thing women did was other women's sports, maybe figure skating, tennis. But
Yeah.
and it's like I never played NFL football, but you know more than I do probably about it because you've been doing it professionally. And people like make me laugh when they say, "Oh, just because you're on that show, that's the only reason you're on." And it's like, no, she earned her way onto the show.
Right. Well,
I'm very proud of Natalie when she got hired by Missing Up.
oh,
Stephen was like, "That's a CD grad."
yeah.
And
Well,
that's right. And she always brings it up on the radio show.
oh, of course I do. I have to, I have to represent. And what's funny about that is my dad's like a diehard, Philly sports fan. I used to drive around with him. We would listen to sports talk radio, and that's what he would say. He'd be like, Nat, you could be the next Rhea Hughes. He's like, you could do that, and he knew that I loved the teams, and he taught me everything that I know.
That's
Yeah, because he used to take me down the games when I was little, and we'd always go to Flyers games, and he'd teach me the rules. Yeah, and I would be with him on the weekends, so I feel like so I was his first, and my little brother didn't come along until I was 8. So I'm like, for 8 years, he had to figure out what to do with a little girl, So I think he just taught me everything he knew. He taught me all about the teams and the history of the teams, and yeah, I mean that's where it all comes from. And he still is to this day. He's so proud that I've made it this far, and he loved it was just his dream that I did sports talk radio. So it's so
that's awesome. And I love
Yeah.
to hear, how great, your father was with you because a lot of men, don't, especially if they separate or divorce. And then it's like, the girls sometimes don't get a chance to, get that. And it's great that your dad, did everything with you. And that's awesome. I mean, that's what I told Steven a long time ago. I said, sometimes you don't know how lucky you have it when you have a mom and dad that both love you and take care of you. And he saw it as he got older in the special needs world, where some of the kids right away, when they get 21, they go into group homes. And
Right.
I talked about it with him, but Steven's like, "No, I want to stay here forever." And so we said, "Well, no problem. You're going to be here with us forever." So now we're all in one big house with my daughter and Steven and the grandkids and my wife.
Oh,
So, yeah,
where do you guys live now?
we're up in Huntington Valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lower Moreland School District.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a great school district up here, and it's so funny because we're so close to everything else. Like Steven volunteers at
Holy Family.
University.
Oh, wonderful.
Or the girls.
Yeah, I've been helping out the girls soccer team for 9 and
9 years, 9 seasons.
hopefully, well, basketball, women's basketball. Hopefully, this next year will be my first season with them. Hopefully.
Yeah, they asked him that, of course, last year before the COVID hit, he was going to
Yeah.
help last year, and then the season got cut short, and then
No, they didn't even have it.
right. I didn't have.
Oh,
And she
right,
said,
right.
the coach said, "Oh, no, don't worry. Next year we'll start you up right away because the basketball season starts like right after the soccer season." So
Yeah.
unfortunately, they both got pushed back, and now the girls' basketball got canceled again this year, right?
And well, there's only 7
They are going to play or not?
No, there's only 7 teams in the conference that are playing.
But they're not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the girls' soccer team is still supposed to get
St.
a season
Patrick's
in.
Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
Day is our first
St.
game.
Patrick's Day is the first game. He's already got it marked on the calendar.
Oh, good. Well, look,
Yeah.
that is right around the corner. I'm telling you, I can't believe January is over already. You know, I feel like it was just Halloween and now all of a sudden Valentine's Day is next week.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's so exciting.
That's great, though. We're really,
Yeah.
really happy that, Stephen, that's what Stephen, yes, last night I told you he interviewed Mr. Heimendinger.
Mhm.
And, we've been going to the games since he started there
Yeah.
at 15, and he was born in 87. So he was there like from 2002 to 2007. You graduated the same eight. He graduated at 8. At
Yeah.
21, he graduated. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was so funny. My son Andrew was 07, and then the next year Stephen
I
08.
wanted to graduate in no time.
Yeah, right. He wanted to graduate with his brother, and we
Aw.
said, "You're only 20, and if you can do it at 20, then you got to start your programs and all at
Right.
20." And he was like, and then my wife, me and my wife said, "Now we want you to stay because Arlena Conference was awesome school, and it was great.
It
'Cause you
was
guys got a chance to interact with these kids." And he had formed relationships with girls and guys there that he's still
Yeah.
friends with to this day
Mhm.
because of Facebook, and it's great. He belongs to a program.
Actually, Mr. Beck's one of the teachers.
Do you remember Mr. Beck?
Oh yeah, I love Mr. Beck. I feel like I just saw him not too long ago.
Talking to him the other day.
Steven still talks to him.
Oh good.
People
I mean,
on
he's a
Facebook.
gem.
Yes.
That's a gem. Yeah.
Talk about a strange coincidence. I went to Spring Garden College out of high school. So one of my teachers was a guy named Mr. Beck.
Uh-huh.
My son Andrew comes home freshman year from Doherty, and I said, "Let me see your roster." Just started taking a look at your teachers' names, and so right away I see Mr. Beck, and I says, "Ask him if he was from Fox Chase," because I remember when we were in college, we asked
Yeah.
Mr. Beck where he was from. He said, "I live in Fox Chase." So I said, "Ask him if he's in Fox Chase," and if he says, "Yeah," ask him if his dad was a college professor at Spring Garden. So Andrew goes in the first day of school, and he says, "Yeah, Mr. Beck, after class, he says, my dad wanted me to ask you, did you grow up in Fox Chase?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Was your dad a professor at Spring Garden College?" He goes, "Wait a minute, does your dad go to Spring Garden College? Did he have my dad?" Because he goes, "How else would he know that all that?" And Andrew start laughing. He goes, "Yeah, my dad said your dad was a real good teacher. He helped my boss get his business started and everything. He was one of our business teachers."
Oh wow,
What a great guy. He was
I
so
feel like
nice, so nice.
it's such a small world, and I feel like the Doherty community, if you have any connection to it, like it's lifelong. I say people say like Penn State has like that like cult like mentality, and I was like, I
Yeah.
think Doherty's worse because we just love that school so much.
Yeah, well, we went down to
The
reunion in the year. Oh God, we had to leave because they were getting a hurricane down Wildwood that day.
Wow.
About 10 years. About 10 years.
So 18 in 2018.
Yeah.
So we went
Okay.
down for the weekend, and then
playing and
he played.
we're playing.
We planned to stay the whole weekend, but Saturday they had the game. So we and Steven, I took him to the game, and then the game got cut short because of, like I said, the hurricane was coming in.
Yeah.
And then it got cut.
Yeah, Steven scored a goal. It was so funny. They let him play in the game with all the kids. He was the only kid from OLC that showed up.
Oh.
Oh God, yeah. And I went up knowing a lot of the guys because I played soccer at North against Doherty. But I went up knowing so many of the guys that were there because I played with some of them away from high school on a club team.
Right.
That's so funny. Well, wait a minute. I want you to tell Steven a story you told Mike Missinelli today. They asked her if she played sports when they were talking about playing, and she said, "Yeah, I was a pretty good soccer player." And Mike Missinelli said, "Give us a story then." So she talked about how she had a game against somebody that was, a local rival, and then Natalie had to, take care of one of the girls with the old Doherty spirit. And then she said, I didn't try out for the high school team. She goes, but I was pretty good at Longcrest. Right. And I get that right.
Yeah. Well, I when I played at Longcrest, I was a defender. I wasn't necessarily like an offensive scorer, but I was a pretty tough cookie defender. And the one time, it was for our indoor championship. There was a lot on the line, indoor soccer championship. And I didn't mean to. I was an aggressive player. And I like bumped the girl and the door like opened and she fell out the door. And the ref was like, "This is like the second time for you this season." Cause I think I got a yellow card or red or something. I didn't get ejected from the game, but he was like, one more time. Because my dad was like, you know, when they're next to you in front of the goal, just like step on the inside of their shoe. And I was like, okay, you know.
See, now it makes a lot more sense. Your dad grew up in Kensington, so now I get it. See that?
Yeah.
You
And my dad,
you left that part out of the story. You should have told everybody.
It's funny.
I grew up in the city, and my dad grew up in Kensington. So
Funny. A Doherty grad got me kicked out of a Holy Family game.
yeah. Tell her
What?
Why?
Tell her that story, Steve. The assistant coach at his school is
Yeah,
named.
you know Jerry Keehan?
I think so. The name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
He said he knows you.
he was on he was assistant women's coach at Little Flower, and then his daughter got the job at Holy Family 9 years ago.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
as Steven tells the story, she hired her dad after she hired Steven. And and then her dad's become great friends with Steven.
Mhm.
So when Steven told her that, you know, he went to Doherty and he knew you, and she said, he goes, I know her. He's a lot older than me. He's well, not a lot older than me. He's like 9 years older than me. I graduated in 81. I think he graduated like 72 from
Okay.
Doherty. But he said he was Germantown guy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then, yeah, now he's up here in Southampton. Great
It's,
guy. He, like I said, he helps his daughter out at Holy Family. So
Tell
tell her the story, Steve.
we were playing this team from Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
One of the girls on my team got like the girl like slide tackled her.
Yeah.
She kicked her again. Still no call. No call.
They didn't call it?
No, nothing. So the ref at the time he's like gonna get a yellow.
Yeah.
At this point, he's talking to Jerry Keehan, not Steven.
So he's
Right,
like,
okay.
giving you a yellow. He's like, okay, and then we had a water bottle, we had a water bucket.
Yeah.
Like that. And he said, you're out of here. He said, what's your name? He said, Steve McGarry.
Ah, you told him.
Yeah, Jerry told the ref that he was Steve McGarry, not Jerry Keehan.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So Steven didn't technically get thrown out, but he tells everybody, well, on paper, I got thrown out of one game.
I mean, you did, honestly.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy, and they have a great time together.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah, he goes to all the home games, and he goes
Yeah.
to usually one away game a year, or I try to take him to a away game if I get a chance. And this year,
No,
basically,
there's no home
right in
games.
the spring this year, they're not doing any. They're playing all their games at a neutral site, and they're going to have Brent Athens, one of the
What happened to
Brent Athens
Okay.
and Father Judge, because they have turf. And this,
Right.
the season's going to be in March and
And I-
April.
And I think
Okay.
the
and all that.
lacrosse team has going to be.
Oh, lacrosse team's playing too.
I think that's why
They're going to use the same fields.
No,
Oh, because they're
they're
gotcha.
going to use the soccer.
They're going to use a soccer field for lacrosse.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Did you ever get to go down to the reunion?
Yeah, so actually it's funny. I haven't been to a Union game in a while. The reunion.
Yeah.
The documentary, I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. I also haven't been to a Doherty reunion in a while, but I did go for a couple of years. I feel like the last time I went was maybe 2016 or 2017. I haven't gone the last couple of years. I don't know why. I think I've just been working. But I'm hoping that it comes back. I was actually going to go last year. I was like, oh, you know what? I'll go in 2020. I'll make it. It'll be a big one. You know, I'll go for 2020. And of course, the pandemic happened, so I didn't get to go. But I did get to go to Keenan's last summer. So that's all that. I mean, I had like my fix, my Wildwood fix. You know.
That's maybe where Jerry might have met you, because his daughter works there, and his son-in-law works there. Her husband works there. They both bartend at the at Keenan's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely.
Yeah, her name's Jill, and her husband's name's
big tall guy, Jimmy.
Jimmy Reeves. He was a real good basketball player at Judge, and then he went to
Sacred Heart, and then he left there and went to Jefferson.
No, Phil Hewitt.
Phil U at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, he played there,
Mhm.
and then they went up get married, and then he's a like I said, he helps run the Keenan's. He does a lot on the outside, I think, of the picnic area or whatever you want to call it, where the entertainment is and all that.
Oh, yeah. Where the soul cruisers play.
I'm hoping to go down 3, 4. I'm hoping to go down back weekends to the reunion.
So Stephen knows everybody from my high school, North Catholic.
I know I specifically
because he's been going to reunions and stuff with me for a couple of years, and they have a Hall of Fame.
Right.
So he goes to the Hall of Fame banquets, and I played there for 3 years. And he knows more the people that are there than I do.
I got to play with some of them.
That's right, he did. He played in some summer leagues with some of the guys in their 40s and 30s.
That's
no more. He's retired now. He's retired from playing sports.
It's tough. It's tough for your body to keep up with. That competitive spirit, man. I couldn't do it. I don't know. I don't know how these athletes do it sometimes.
Yeah, well, and now you're getting paid to do something else. So I always tell people, once you get a full-time paid job, you got to stop playing sports, because if you get hurt, your job doesn't want to hear you can't make it in because you broke your leg and you're going to be out for 3 weeks.
That's right. And actually, it's funny. So the company, the Fanatic, has like a softball team, right? And they're like, Nat, you want to play on the softball team? And I was like, what if I get hit in the face with a ball and then I have to be on TV? Like, what am I gonna, what am I gonna say? Am I gonna say, oh, I'm sorry, everyone, don't mind this huge lump in my black eye. I got in the face with a ball at the.
That's right. And now you're on TV as well as the radio. So you gotta watch your appearance. They used to say to people, you got a face for radio, and now they can't say that anymore about their show. But they got 3 good-looking people: Mike Mazzanelli, Tyrone, and Natalie. They're all good-looking people.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Play miniature golf.
I think I'd be safe miniature golfing, but I'm super clumsy, so you never know.
Well, that's him. Tell her how you did it, Steve.
Dislocated my kneecap, got a hole in one, and I dislocated my kneecap.
Tried to just walk to retrieve the ball out of the hole, and he turned his head for a second, and he stepped, and he made a wrong step.
No.
It happened in June, right when the pandemic was quote unquote semi over.
Right.
And the girl that was working there probably was like 16, and she was scared to death. She couldn't touch.
Oh my goodness.
They had to call 911, and they came out.
I was calling you. I was calling mommy.
My wife's friend was out with him. She did us a favor that day and took him out miniature golfing. So she couldn't go in this ambulance with him because she wasn't family. So she had to come home, pick my wife up, and then meet them at the hospital. Oh no, my daughter drove and met him there. She followed.
I remember calling you. I called you. Thinking I was calling mommy.
Yeah, and the first time when he said he dislocated his knee. Do you remember what happened to Joe Theismann when he was playing at the time?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's what happened to Steven. His kneecap completely moved. The patella moved over to the side.
Not once.
Right. Not once, but twice. The first time he was still at Doherty, right? Or you at St. David's?
No, I think I was in my freshman year.
Yeah, it was that first year at Doherty. And he says, I'm going to the bathroom. And he goes to the bathroom.
It was in summer camp.
And he starts screaming at the top of his lungs. My daughter was going to nursery school.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the door open. I get the door open finally. And his kneecap was completely on the other side of his leg. So my daughter started panicking because she said, "That's my brother. I can't help him." So then,
yeah, no, that's so scary.
We were living around a corner from Jeans. Took him to Jeans. Yeah. We took him to Jeans, and then they tried to push it back because they say, "No, they can just give him morphine and push it back." Well, no, they couldn't. They couldn't push it back, so they had to put him to sleep.
Oh no!
Yes, and Stephen loves telling this story. So the guy shoots him up with morphine. And he says to me and my wife, "I'll just let it kick in. And once it kicks in completely, then I'll just got to give it a push over." So we're waiting there about 15 minutes. And finally, the doctor, they say over the thing, "Dr. Egenolf, pick up line 1.
Yeah.
So he picks up the phone and Steven sees him. And Steven says, "Hey, get off the effing phone." Fix my name.
What did he say? What did he say back?
Yeah. The doctor said, "Oh, I guess that morphine kicked in. I gotta go." And he hung up the phone.
You're ready to go now.
He hung up the phone, and then he couldn't get it done. So then they had to take him up to the operating room, and then they fixed him up, and then like the doctor said, it may happen again down the road. And that was like he was probably 14, 15, about 15 then, and then it happened again last year when he was 33. So God, so he's a bundle of fun and a bundle of injuries his whole life. Tell her, Steve, how many operations did you get? Probably at least 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Eye surgery, mouth surgery,
wow.
ears.
Well,
You had,
but nothing like major, no surgeries, but yeah.
no major, but I think a lot of them were major. Me and you couldn't tell me and your mom it wasn't major when you going into a children's hospital, and then we had to say bye to you, and you had to go into. Oh God, they were the greatest hospital in the history of mankind. The way they took care of him when he was little, and
So Chop.
One year I did it.
Oh God, yeah, that he's got the threshold of pain that you wouldn't believe.
I bet
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think I was still at the hockey. I had to got Make-A-Wish.
Oh yeah, yes. After well, that was another serious thing. He had a rare blood problem. He was bleeding through, spitting out blood through it was getting in his lungs, and they didn't know how it got there. And he was at CHOP for a couple of different stays, and they finally figured it out.
Like a month.
And they had him on steroids for about 18 months to get it finally cured. They gave him methotrexate and steroid combination.
Yeah.
It finally worked. And that's how he got his little chubby face from all them steroids.
They got there to go to Disney World that summer.
Got Disney World. My sister-in-law wrote contacted Make-A-Wish, and then they sent us to Disney, and me, Steven, my kids, and my wife, the whole family went. And we met a family friend down there, and then the Make-A-Wish people said, we'll give them stickers too. So they went in all the rides. We got all the rides in front of everybody.
Best hotel there.
Yeah, and they had a flood at the Make-A-Wish Village. It's called the Give Kids the World Village. Perkins Restaurant sponsors, and they have a restaurant in that little village. So that week before we went, they had a hurricane in Florida.
And my sister was about to
start nursing school. So they wanted to see if we could back it up. And we said, no, she can't miss a day in nursing school.
Right.
So they said, well, we can do it, but we're gonna have to put you up at the Grand Floridian.
Okay.
So we never knew what that was, and it turns out it's like one of the best ones. That's where the Sixers stayed when they were down there for the NBA.
For the bubble.
Yeah, and it was great. We were there for a week. They put us down there, and unbelievable. Limo ride to and from.
Yeah, before we were lucky we got there.
Yeah, it was the guy's last day on the job.
They tried to take us to the Northeast Airport.
He was about 80 years old. And he picks us up, and we're up in Lawndale or whatever he was up there. And he picks us up, and he starts driving down, and he's going down towards the 95. And I'm thinking he's going down, like, get on it Bridge Street. And I'm like, wow, this is a little different. Why did he just go over Cottman Avenue?
Right.
All of a sudden, he's getting ready to turn and go north on the 95. And I says, yo, where you going? He goes, Northeast Airport, right? You Make-A-Wish. And I says, it's Make-A-Wish, but we're on a regular flight down at the South, this National Airport. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He goes, this is the last day of the job. We're driving on the 95, and I swear to God, he almost hit the rail like three times. And I was like, please just get us there safe. And then once we got there,
and you have my luck. I saw you sound like you have my luck. What was your favorite ride in Disney World?
Same neighborhoods and everything, so that's what it was, I guess, Steve. Huh?
Yeah. What was your favorite ride?
What's that?
What was your favorite ride in Disney?
Do you remember?
Oh, Tower.
Oh, that's mine too.
Get out of here.
I swear. So I got to go for I think I was 6 the first time I went. And I was so small, but my dad would I just wanted to keep going on it. Yeah, that was my favorite ride too. I like, when you sit in the little car and you go through the story and they have like the holograms and stuff. I was actually saying, I've been there twice. I haven't been there since I was like 12, but I'm dying to go back. Like I need to go back to Disney World. And yes, Tower of Terror was like, it's my favorite too. That and Space Mountain.
We went. What was year 2000 and?
Well, Dana was in nursing.
2003. Yeah, it was 2003. It was the year she started nursing school. So when we went, and it was our first time for the whole family.
Yeah.
And like I said, we met up with this family, so we get in there.
All I remember is them coming to my house. As we were able to go, I said, on a plane.
Yeah. They said, where do you want to go? And he goes, on a plane. They said,
Yep.
well, where do you want to go on a plane? Because they
My
don't want
brother
they don't want me asking, answering for them.
and my
So
brother and my sister told me before they came.
it's like,
Say
tell them
Disney.
Disney. And I said,
Yeah.
Steve, you don't have to go to Disney. Because at first he was thinking about going to like the football game or something. And then I said, well, I think you might enjoy Disney because he was never there. Well, actually, he did go when he was at Our Lady of Confidence before he was at Doherty. They had,
Yeah.
they had a big meeting, and the Sunshine Foundation.
Yeah.
They had a big meeting with all the parents, and this was for the young kids and
For the whole
the whole
school.
school. That's right. And they said it's a trip, a day trip. And we were like, what? And they said, yeah, you got to take them up to Cotman and the Boulevard at the old Macy's parking lot. And they picked them in a bus, took them down to the airport, dropped them off, got to Florida by like 10 o'clock in the morning, went right to Disney. And then after that, they came back the same day, and I had to pick them up at like midnight back
I will never forget it because you didn't believe me. I went on a ride by myself. Nobody believed me.
He says, I won't believe it. I went on a ride all by myself.
And I was like 5.
So I said, now you were a little older than 5. Now, yeah, because you were 5 when you started. I think you were like 9. You were like maybe 9. So this teacher, they all get off the rides and they all go, come on, everybody get off. And Steven loved the ride. It was Space Mountain. I think it was Space Mountain.
Yeah, that's my other favorite too.
Yeah. So they all get off, and one of the kids he went to school with had crutches and a walker. So they had to help. The teacher had to help him get off. So she just tells everybody else to get off, and Steven's like, I'm not getting off. I'm going around again. So then they set the ride, and then he goes, and the teacher's like, oh my God, one of my students is on that ride by himself. And the girl goes, that's all right. Looks like he's having a good time because, they got the cameras. So
right, and you're just, wee!
Yes, he loved it. He came back in. So he tells me as I'm driving home, he's like, I was on a ride by myself. And I said, get out of here. I said, you're full of it. And he's like, no, I'm telling you. So I drive this girl home. And she's like, no, Mr. McGarry, I think he did. I heard the teachers talking because she was about 4 years older than him. And we still know her to this day. She's actually related to my son-in-law. So we see her to this day, and oh my God, it was so funny. The next day, my wife calls and she goes, I don't care or anything. I'm not mad or anything, but did Steven really go on a ride by himself? And then the teacher was like mortified. She's like, I'm so sorry. And we were like, look, it's no problem. He had a great time, and we just didn't believe him. And then the teacher said, yep, he snuck a ride for the second time around. The whole park was closed just for their school. It was
awful. That is so special, and that's so amazing.
Yeah, that was great. That was the one he'll never forget that. And he told people, and so many people thought, because Steven, when he was younger, he would occasionally tell a story or two, right, Steve? He would tell everybody, me and my dad are going to the Eagles game in Dallas, and we're flying out. So these people would be like, man, what's your dad do for a job? And then I would say, we ain't going to no Dallas game. But we did go to a lot of games in Philadelphia together, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, we do all the time. So you were starting to say about the Union, because we're big fans of the Union. So you did get a chance to go down?
Yeah, I went to a game I've been to games actually when the stadium first opened. A guy I used to work with had tickets. So he sold me a couple of tickets, but those games are so much fun.
Yes.
They're so much fun. The stadium's awesome.
Unbelievable.
I wish it wasn't like so far. You know, I mean, I say it's far. People are like, nah, it's not that far. You think leaving the city lines is far, and I'm like, whatever. But
I wish it was closer too, but we do go. It's like, from where we're at now, it's maybe about an hour. But it's just getting in and getting out of there. They made it a little easier recently. They opened up a couple other opened up a couple of the ramps to make it easier.
I really loved it a couple of years ago. My buddy was the goalie for them.
Yeah, he was real friendly with John McCarthy. He went to North Catholic, and then he went to Sal.
Yeah.
A great goalie. And then like I said, we interviewed the coach, and the coach told us he's going to try to get him back for this season. And tell her the best part. What did the coach tell you after the COVID's over?
I could come down to any game I want.
Anytime. He wants to take him to their new facility.
Anytime I want.
Anytime he wants, and he take him on a tour of the new facility. So then we met. We talked to the coaches of the women's coach at Philly U, well Jefferson now.
No, yeah,
He's the athletic director also, and he invited Steven. So we got
you
all
scientists?
we got all these invites. You sciences.
Yeah.
They're in the same
That's
conference,
great.
Holy Family, yeah. So we got all these invites. So we're gonna do follow-up interviews live at their place, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's such a great idea. Yeah, the union's amazing. Jim Curtin, he's such a nice guy.
So
He's
Steven's
great.
got YouTube followers all over the country. He's got some people out in California. So that's why I said Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for all those fans of his out there.
Yeah.
So Natalie, you've been one of our favorite interviewers that we've had
Oh,
so far, man. It's been great talking to you and great to finally meet you on the Zoom here.
yeah. Yeah. This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me. And of course, when he tweeted me, I was like, yeah, I remember you. Like I you know, I don't I mean, I have a pretty good memory too. Sometimes I blank on details, but I remember faces, you know, and I remember you from Doherty. I feel like again, that place was just so special, and I've made so many great friends there. And again, like the connections just are a lifetime. So no, I really appreciate you having me on. Like this is exciting, and I love doing this type of stuff. Like it's fun for me, you know, and especially for somebody, you know, we grew up the same, you know, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, one of the
Yeah,
questions
it's cool.
he asked a lot of people, and you answered it without him asking you the question. He always would say, you know, do you have any tips for any of the young ladies like who want to become in your job? And she gave you the best tip that you could give: show up and volunteer, and then show them that you want to do it. And that's what he does. That's how he got the Holy Family. He, you know, asked if he could volunteer, and they said sure.
Yeah, well,
And you know,
oh no, wait. One of my best friend, did it.
Said that you were interested in helping out a team, and then that's how she came over to our house and met my wife, and she, you know, said sure, we'll let them do. So now, you know, I know the men's head coach from Holy Family, and so Stephen would go to we would go to all their games, and all the kids know him and all, and it's so much fun. And he meets so many nice people through sports.
I go to the games. No fans.
Yeah, no fans, but he's allowed. You're the number one.
You know why? He's in the parking lot, watch it.
Yep, and he's got his own seat for the men's and women's basketball team
and
volleyball. He sits at the same spot at Holy Family. So all the other coaches, he interviewed like 3 other coaches that are in the conference, and they all love Steven. He always gets a good following. See that she recognized you because you look the same as what you did when you were at Cardinal Doherty. Yeah, he was there all 4 years you were there. Like I said, he started there in 2002.
No.
2000 no,
I was there for 8 years.
8 years. So 2008.
2000.
2000 he started there.
Yeah. Well, you knew my best friend Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth Devlin.
Elizabeth Devlin. She was one of the girls she was on the soccer team.
Liz Devlin. I think she played soccer. She was in Best Buddies too.
Best Buddies. There you go.
Yeah.
Blonde.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Liz was my best friend.
That's great.
High school. Yeah.
Well, he's in an organization now called Athletes Helping Athletes. So
okay.
They go to colleges sometimes for the whole day. So Temple had one every year they did, but of course of COVID they had to stop. So 2 years ago we went. So he's signing up every day. We had to sign him up ahead of time, and then he goes and they give him a sticker to put on, and then they let him do all kinds of fun stuff. So all of a sudden he's there, and this girl shouts out, "Steve!" Turns around, it was one of his best buddies from Doherty.
Yeah.
So no.
Oh, was she
St. David's?
St. David's. Sorry, she went to St. David's, but he was from that went from 5 to 14, but he started there at like 11 because he was at the other original
the only
school.
one that took the bus with us.
So she took the bus because her sister was in Our Lady Confidence. So then she started taking the bus, and then she got friendly with Steven, and then she went up going to Doherty.
No, she
just became friends with you, and then she went to
Temple. She was like 5 at the time when she was.
Oh, that's right. So she goes to Temple, graduates, goes back for her master's, and then she started working there, and that's when we saw her down there. It was so funny. But every time we go places, he gets people seeing him.
Yeah.
Like, I remember you from Doherty. I remember you from OLC. They all remember the legend.
Yeah, honestly, as soon as you tweeted me, I was like, yes, of course. I remember you. Yeah.
Well, what do you got to say to Natalie?
Thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
very
thank you,
much.
I
Steve.
hope I
Yeah,
hope
and feel
we
you have
we can meet up again in person sometime.
oh,
Absolutely.
for sure. And again, you have my emails and yeah, you know what happened with my work email? I had my password, I got locked out because I kept entering the wrong one. So I couldn't fix it until Monday. But yeah, you have my emails and yeah, the NAE one that I gave you, this is the personal one. So yeah, you can email me anytime if you need anything or any advice. And yeah, I'd be happy to help out in any way that I can.
Steve,
I-
ask her your fun question.
Oh
I almost
yeah.
forgot. I almost forgot.
If you can have dinner with three people that work in sports, they could be dead or alive. Who would they be and why?
So first I would like to have dinner with LeBron James. Because I think he's I think he's the greatest athlete of all time. I do. He's his discipline, to his game and his dedication. I just would like to sit down and pick his brain and do you turn into such a machine? Who else would I like to have dinner with? I would love to talk to I'm trying to think. I would love to
Anybody-
talk to Serena Williams.
There
I
you
think
go. I was gonna say, how about anybody in the business that you would like to meet? Any
oh,
famous
like
women
in broadcasting?
broadcasting? Yeah.
Hmm. Um, my goodness, Erin Andrews, I think, would be incredible to sit down and talk to. She's paved such a path for herself in this business, and she's dealt with a lot of controversy, not even controversy, but everything she went through in her career,
Yeah.
and just pushing through and really making her way in the business. And it's funny when you think about women in sports broadcasting. She's one of the first names I think that you think of. It's almost like how my dad used to say, you could be the next Rhea Hughes.
Yeah.
People say, oh, you could be the next Erin Andrews, because I feel like she's kind of paved her way for that self. But yeah, all those women I would love to. That's my goal. My goal is to eventually sit down and talk to them and learn from them. It's just it's getting better for women, I think, in the business.
I agree, and
Yeah.
I just hope the doors keep opening for you guys. And like I said, we've been following you, and we continue to be following you, and
We'll be rooting for you, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
one day you can be, instead of Mike Missinelli show, it'll be called the Natalie show.
You never know. You never
That's
know.
right.
Fingers crossed, you guys.
That's
It's
right.
it's a journey, but I'm having fun doing it, and I'm just thankful, and I feel blessed every day. And that's all I can ask for, is just to have a job that I like and come
Oh,
home and
Keep up the
yeah.
good work. Keep up the good work, because we think you're
Thank
doing
you guys.
great.
You know,
This is so
a lot
fun.
of my friends, they said they love your show. The big
Oh,
fan.
thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
How about that?
Mhm.
I have so much in common with her.